There came a time when nobody would even accept her in their home because she would run away all the time. She was admitted a few times to the general hospital on the psychiatric unit. She escaped from the psychiatric unit hospital in the wintertime. Now, you know where the general hospital is. She was walking home to my place. She was picked up on Winnipeg Street. That's where the police found her. She was in a housecoat from the hospital, pajama bottoms, paper slippers, nothing else. And she was walking. Her one saving grace was that she knew she could run home and she'd be, safer or safe. This little speech is about Lavina's journey to COR. I think she was looking for peace and quiet in the family that she had lost and safety. She really never felt that anybody was going to hurt her. It was Father's Day, 1965. June the 20th, she arrived about 1:30 in the afternoon in the Kipling Hospital. Our beautiful daughter, Lavina, was born. She was welcomed by all. And when I say by all, there were at least 3 generations on both sides of the families that were very excited to meet her. As she got older, Lavina played well with her brothers, but unlike her older brothers, she had to go to see a specialist around the age of 6 to 8 months because of failure to thrive, and she had mobility issues. Lavina was sent to a pathologist because she had difficulty pronouncing some of her letters, like the S, THs, and after about 6 to 8 months, she improved. We lived in the Kipling area, and of course, our children went to the Kipling school, and it was a small community, so everybody knew everybody. But unfortunately, Lavina didn't really have any really close friends. Lavina was really a difficult person to get to know. The older children and I decided it would be best for us to move. So we got a chance to move to Regina, found a place to live. Due to financial concerns, I found a job working nights so I could be with the children during the day. I would leave at 7 o'clock in the evening to start my night shift and work till 7 in the morning, so that by the time school started, the children were accustomed to be by themselves during the night. There weren't that many children that they knew in the city that they could make friends with. It took a longer period of time. And I think Lavina was affected probably the most. It was very hard on them. We didn't know anybody in the area that we moved to in the city, so she really, really had a hard time adjusting. They had to adapt to a very different lifestyle. I mean, I don't think really Lavina realized that that was going on. She did go to school in the city. However, within 2 or 3 months, she was, the teachers were calling me in to say that she was really having a very hard time. So that when she graduated from the elementary school, I had spoken to several teachers and even a counselor who was very good in he recommended that Lavina go to Cochrane School for the mentally, physically challenged. So that's, I had no other choice. And while she was at Cochrane School, they made sure that each student had the opportunity to work for at least 6 to 8 weeks in different fields in order for them to obtain jobs. However, when Cochrane School had their graduation, they had probably 150 students that graduated on that year. And there was only about 10 people that got jobs. Well, once she graduated, they told me she was at a grade 4 learning level. Now, learning and understanding are two different things for Lavina. But also Cochrane did tell the students that they could go on social assistance if they couldn't find a job. Lavina could never complain. She could never tell you exactly what was wrong and exactly what she needed to make it right. We moved her into the apartment, and then she had a social worker. Foremost thought was she was gonna get money. To you and me, let's say $500 isn't very much. But to Lavina, hearing $500 was like $5,000 to somebody else. You could not get that out of her head. We tried and tried because I was having difficulty going to work, having somebody come and look after her for the times that I was working. And she insisted that she was going to move out and live in an apartment on social assistance. She was going to be just fine, wonderful, just fine. Before she moved out, I tried to convince her that, look, out of the money you're getting, you have to pay for your rent, you have to pay for your food, you have to pay for your transportation. However, by the time, like I say, the middle of the month came around, she was out of food. She didn't have any money. I mean, she did come home frequently. There were a lot of times when she ran away from my house after school before she got into her apartment. I didn't see her for 2-3 days. I did not know where she was. I was, finally. I mean, where am I going to look for somebody in the city? She finally did come home. That is one saving grace. It seemed like by the time she got hungry and had no more money, she would always come home. Now, I did notify social services that she was doing this, and that I was having trouble. I felt that the men were taking advantage of her because they would know when her checks were due. They would be very nice and ask her to cash her check, then take most of her money, be nice to her, probably have sex with her or do whatever, and then a day or so later, you're out of money, and now you can go home. Or Lavina thought that enough is enough and I'm going home. She could never tell me exactly point blank what had happened. When she was first on social assistance, I'm sure she moved at least 4 times. And you see, every time she moved, or had to move, because she'd either lose her key or was making too much noise. The last place she lived at, she was evicted because boys came over to her place and they broke the deck door on the lower level, stole everything they possibly could, and away they went. So, unfortunately, Lavina had to pay for the broken door, and she was evicted. And they said, we are not moving her ever again. She has moved so many times, it's far too expensive for social services to move her again. When I wanted them to do something for Lavina, like put her where she is safe, this is not a safe situation for Lavina. They said, you have no rights. Lavina wants to live on her own, and you have no right because she's over the age of 18. And if she doesn't say that what she wants, you cannot make her do it. Before anything got done, 2 months went by. Within that 2 months, before anything was done, she got another worker that didn't know anything about what was going on. So we started the whole process all over again. Some of them, I must say, were not too bad. But then they moved on. She had one person that was really good, but because that person was so good, moved up higher in the social services branch. She eventually did get onto the psychiatric unit, and that was after Lavina was taken to a psychiatrist by a social worker. The social worker was very nice, filled her prescription, then took her home, left the prescription there, told my daughter, we have to take this 3 times a day, every day, until the bottles are empty. She did not take into consideration that my daughter did not know 3 times a day. After 3 or 4 days of not hearing from Lavina, I was very concerned because she had planned to come home and she never did. I was very concerned, and I went to her apartment. I knew she was at home because she always played her radio. And after about an hour, she was able to unlock the door. When I saw her, oh my God, what a relief. She looked terrible. Her hair wasn't combed, she was drooling, she couldn't talk, she wasn't even walking. She crawled on her hands and knees to open the door for me. That's how overdosed she became. So I put her in my car, took her home. Unfortunately, it took at least 4 days before I was able to get a hold of anybody from social services. And now in hindsight, what I should have done, I should have phoned an ambulance, I should have rushed her to the hospital. Had I not persisted and sat there, I'm sure I sat in front of her apartment for at least 2 hours before I was able to get in, she would have died. Apparently she fell asleep when she got up. Oh, it's time to take my pills. She saw the pills there, so she took it. And because she was feeling, tired, she laid down, had another sleep for 2 hours or 3, took another set of 3 pills, whatever they were, and then she slept again. Then she got up probably 5 or 6 times during the day and the night, and every time she got up, she took more pills until she no longer got up. Social services took her to the psychiatrist. Okay, the psychiatrist gave her this prescription. Social services filled it, even though they knew that she was not responsible to take it on her own. And they left her there. I did try to phone social services, and when I did finally get a meeting with them, I was very, very, very upset, and I told them so. Then they really heard me because I was pretty well like Lavina. I ain't going anywhere until something is done. For low-income families, they had lawyers you could go and see. So I finally went to one of those lawyers and I said, this is what's happening. Can you tell me what avenue I have to take in order to have my daughter be safe, where my word goes over hers once she gets into trouble? So then he told me what to do, and I did go in front of a judge and told him what was going on. It took forever because, of course, by the time you see one person, make an appointment, you've got another 2 or 3 months. Then you go to that person. Oh, well, we need this kind of information. We need that kind of information. Finally, after Lavina still struggling, and me going to social services, there's got to be a better solution for Lavina. They finally put her into a group home. There were 8 of them living there, and she really, really liked it there. She did very well there. Over the years of her moving and not being in a stable situation, the things that she even learned, she lost. She moved at least 26 or 30 times. Finally, by the time social services realized this, and I would not take her home from the hospital when she was discharged. I said, something has to be done. Something better than this has to be done. At one point then, they had no place to put her, and I refused to take her back home because I knew the same thing was going to happen. And I said, well, I have a full-time job. At that time, my mother, who was like well into her 90s, she was living with me because she could no longer live on her own. Usually in my mother's culture, it was the young people looked after the elderly, not the other way around. And my mother never did understand why my daughter acted the way she did. That's when COR started getting involved, and they did such a wonderful job. I didn't find out about COR after that incident. COR found out about Lavina because I refused to take her back to live with me, and she stayed in the hospital for, I'm sure it was 6 months. They were very upset with me because I wouldn't take her back to my place. I said, I can't take her. I can't put myself into jeopardy. And then COR took over and started working with Lavina, which was wonderful. COR, most of the time, if there was any decisions I needed to be involved in, they would contact me. I did not have to wait for days or weeks in order to contact them. Finally, after 30 or 40 years, she had somebody that believed me that she needed 24-hour care. My main worry for her was to be safe. And there were many times that I thought, because I hadn't heard from her for days, that, oh my God, don't let her be dead. I'll do anything, just don't let her be dead. And I mean, yes, she did come home, but the same thing happened like 2 weeks later, and you'd go through that, and you'd go through that again. I needed a break, and I never got a break until she moved somewhere else. Well, by then I was exhausted. I just felt that COR was coming to me instead of me going to them, like I had tried with social services. Had I not continuously taken her back and fought for her, I don't think she'd be here today. I'm sure she wouldn't be. Oh, I don't worry about her anymore. She's well taken care of. She's happy. I don't think she's ever been this happy before. But yeah, she is truly well cared for.